Hello again, book lovers. Fred Dibnah's Made in Britain by David Hall. I read this as a bit of background reading for something I'm writing set in my hometown of Bolton. If you don't know who Fred Dibnah was, you probably aren't from Bolton. He's got a statue in the town centre these days. He became famous as a steeplejack and destroyer of chimneys, and his interests expanded into everything about Victorian engineering, boilerplates, traction engines, etc. Okay, so this book was a bad choice by me. I didn't realise it was a tie-in to a television series or that it was some kind of travelogue. I'd expected something more historical, so that was my mistake. I should perhaps have chosen Fred Dibnah's Buildings of Britain or Victorian Heroes, also by David Hall. But in any case, although I didn't get what I was expecting from this book, there's enough to comment on, so let's comment. First of all, as this ties in with the TV story, another sort of subplot, if you like, is the fact that Fred is diagnosed with cancer at the start of the book, and we leave him after his last trip, about to die at the end, and he's only 66, which is my age. It was noted at the beginning that he'd rejected some alternative treatment, which strikes me as being part of his character and mine, the sort of northern folk caricature of the pig-headed, straight-talking, belts and braces northerner. Fred's very typical like that. He's sucking on a polo mint and always looking forward to his pint of Guinness, and very much at home in the industrial environment. He doesn't like mountains and trees, for example, saying, "One's like another." I firmly and vehemently disagree with that. And of course, Fred and his mates speak in the vernacular known as lanky twang, so you find him saying things like that the traction engine stopped short by a midget's what's it. I'm not sure you can say that these days. And another line of his dialogue that jumped out of me was when he was surveying the interior of an old factory. He said, "I could have fun in here with 50 tons of coke." I bet you could, Fred. Still, what do we get in this book? We get an insight into the old factory conditions, the old mines as well. There is a lot of local history. We're told of a mining explosion in 1910 that left 340 dead. One of these passing comments that doesn't do justice to the underlying tragedy. There are anecdotal asides about how you used to get sparks going down your trousers and into your wellies. One man tells how he was employed by a factory at the age of 18, and his first job involved walking along a plank across a black abyss, as he describes it. If you miss the hole pouring white hot metal off the forklift truck, it floods the factory floor. All these little snippets giving us insights into what the world of factory and mine work was like back then. And yet there is a sense of a warm nostalgic glow for these factories and pits. The steelmakers at Workington, for example, who claimed to hold the world together as they produced most of the world's railway tracks. So I quickly discovered I wasn't really interested in boilerplates and traction engines as Fred sets off on his trip for the television. The names of places near where I was born were very evocative, of course. I haven't seen Double and Darcy Lever mentioned for many a year, and these are the places where, like Fred, as he says, he used to play in these mill lodges as a kid. Yes, I will remember doing that. But I never had to experience the dark, dirty, noisy, dangerous world of grinding gears and rushing cars and rivet making and welding, and I'm very glad I didn't. It's really not my world at all. However, as Fred goes out into my world, the northwest of England, he's always met by the stereotypical nice, chummy, friendly northern folk, because we're like that, except for the little boy who cried when he heard the whistle. And along the way, yes, I was treated to some stories about how a man disguised himself as a tramp in order to spy on a rival factory, and some asides about the sewers put in by Bazalgette, occasioned by what was known as the Great Stink. And one strange aside, as his mate Alf, it turns out, is a vegetarian for whatever reason. And so inadvertently this book tells the tale of the decline of its subject matter, Mr. Dibnah, who left us shortly after, and the decline of industry, especially in the northwest of England, reaching over to Yorkshire at times and up to the Lake District, and the overriding sense at the end of the passing of an age. The decline of industry, I think we can see that in the British landscape, and as Fred tells us when he goes off to get his honorary degree in engineering, he was surprised that at the ceremony everybody was Chinese, as he says, and 7/8 of them were women. Yes indeed, Fred, that's the world to come. Fred and his world have gone.